Okay.
Welcome back. So we are continuing our theme of the month of May, which is discussing mental health awareness, which May is Mental Health Awareness Month, but also how mental health and hearing loss kind of go hand in hand on a lot of different topics. So Brad is going to be talking today about some research that he found around the connection between dementia and hearing loss. There's a lot of misunderstanding out there about what that means. I think the kind of general sense is, oh, if you have hearing loss, you're going to have dementia. Not really, not necessarily. So and it's relatively new research, I would say, in the past decade or so, maybe a little less.
Even less.
So this is new information coming out of the medical community too. So we want to be careful to interpret all of this with caution, as more research is definitely needed. So I'm going to stop talking, and you're going to present your research, and let's learn something. Go ahead.
So I started talking about my hearing loss like 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, and one of the first things I heard was a news story saying that dementia is linked to hearing loss, and I was like, what? And luckily, it wasn't long after that where a clarification was issued. And so I'm going to talk about, I have two different articles that I did some research on to kind of clarify what that means. And so the first article is from UCLA, and they say there is a high coincidence. So then one doesn't cause the other, but they live together essentially. Hearing loss and dementia. So they are related, but they're not, the cause isn't known. And so there's two possible causes for this, is that less input in the brain means the brain has to work less. And that's what dementia is the brain doesn't work well. And so it's thinking that because you can't hear and you're not processing the sounds to the best of your ability, well, you are, right? But your ability, your best has come down. So they think that the less work the brain does to hear, the less work it will do overall. And the other one was hearing loss can be isolating. And again, if you don't have those social interactions, you're not going to challenge yourself. You're not going to start thinking and communicating and getting that brain working. So it's kind of, the isolation is tied to the less work, which is tied to not being able to hear. So it's kind of all feedback loop. And so a study found that high-risk people, high risk for dementia, who wore hearing aids were less likely to develop dementia. And there was no difference between the low risk group. And so what high risk means, I asked that question aloud as I was reading to myself.
Sure.
And further down, like the next paragraph, they said what the high risk factors are. And so it's high blood pressure, lack of physical activity, smoking, drinking, and uncontrolled diabetes. So those make you at a higher risk for dementia. And so that's why it's so important to take care of yourself, to exercise, and to get that diagnosis for the hearing loss. Because as this study just said, that people who wore hearing aids had a less risk for dementia, even if they were at a high risk for dementia. So that was so comforting for me to hear, because I was scared when I first heard that, when I first talking about my hearing loss, that I was more likely to get dementia. And then, like, right on the heels, like, right on the heels, I was here we go. This helps too, right? Right on the heels, they said that it's the untreated hearing loss. So once you get over the stigma and you can get your hearing aids and your other risk factors you aren't a high risk factor, you don't have to worry as much. And so I wanted to come on and do an episode about it, because I'm sure I'm not the only one who has heard about this connection between hearing loss and dementia. And it's scary. I can't think of, one of the worst things I can think of is losing my ability to think. Right, a couple episodes ago, my book of choice was Flowers for Algernon.
Oh God, that's right.
And like it's so scary, because I'm so introspective. Being the introvert that I am, is like deep thinking is like what makes me happy, and it's relaxing for me. And to lose that, whew, that's rough. So I do my homework.
I do not have that.
That's okay. So the second article I looked at was one from PubMed. So it's a medical journal, so I was only able to look at the abstract, but I thought there was some good stuff from that, because I don't have a subscription to it, so I couldn't read the full article, but it is an authoritative source because it's managed by the National Institute for Health. And so one of the quotes here is that midlife hearing loss increases the risk of developing dementia by double than
Whoa.
any other single factor.
What?
Right? And so there's no known reason for this, but they have shown that it does increase the risk. But again, that's so they're saying midlife, right? So that's not us, because we've had the hearing loss for a while, but that's why it's so important to do what we're doing, because if you are in your midlife and you start to notice like you're exhausted after peopling all day, maybe you're having a hard time hearing and you're struggling to actively listen, and so that might be a sign that you might need it. So get yourself checked out, get yourself a hearing test. Hearing loss predisposes to social isolation, precipitating the development of dementia through a supposed reduction in cognitive load and processing requirements. And so this is just to echo the UCLA statement. So like that's one thing that I always like to make sure that I do, is if I find something that makes me stop, I want to make sure that it's reiterated elsewhere. The internet does make that challenging because it's really known for propagating false information, because people can just cut and paste. But that's why I make sure that I vet the information. So UCLA is a respected institution, and the National Institute of Health is a respected institution. And so both of them do say that like isolation and cognitive load can definitely change. And if you have hearing loss, your cognitive load is bigger because you have to work harder to hear. So that's really all I wanted to say about the dementia connection, that it's there for untreated hearing loss. And so it's so important. Please get your hearing checked. If you even suspect it, if you go into an audiology booth and everything comes up roses, great. But at least you've made that step, because that is so hard to make. Because it's scary, because you're going to fail the test more often than not. And so who wants to take a test they're going to fail? But these connections are very important, and they impact a lot of people. And so we wanted to make sure that we set the record straight with things. And Happy made an appearance. Right? Say hi to the people, Happy.
Say hi, everybody. Her name is Happy, and she always looks like a grouch. But
Yeah.
she's actually a very happy, very loving little
She's
dog.
a good girl. She's named after one dwarf. Looks like the other dwarf.
That's right. It's like Grumpy.
Anything you wanted to say on that, Julie?
No, it's fascinating. Thank you for doing all that. It really is eye-opening. And I think about what we had mentioned in the previous episode, that most people wait 10 years to get their hearing checked. So if you are in midlife, just make it part of your routine. It's just, if you're going for a mammogram or a prostate exam yearly, get your hearing checked. Don't wait, because it really has some major implications for your quality of life.
Yeah. If
it's
you
an
have
investment in your health.
If you have any questions or anything and you don't want to like comment, please reach out at hello@dttproductions.com.
That's what we're here for.
We'll give you advice. I mean, this is why we're doing the show, is to avoid situations like this. We want to get these conversations going, and some of them are harder than others, and dementia is a hard one.
That's a big one. Yeah. Before we go on to books, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button if you're watching this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, that would be hugely helpful to us. We're trying to build our presence on YouTube. Also, go to our website, dttproductions.com. We'll put the link down below. We have an adorable merch store that has T-shirts, mugs, and stickers, and all kinds of cute stuff based off of our Boston Terriers. There is a Patreon link on our site. If you're not sure what that is, ask a 20-something in your life and we'll get you hooked up. But basically, it's a monthly subscription where you can donate to us each month. Tiers start as low as $2, and there are benefits under each tier, so be sure to take a look at that. And just find us on social networks, so TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. TikTok and Instagram are probably the best places to go. You'll see all of our mini video content, which is very different than what we cover here. So highly recommend that everybody follow us in all the places. At a minimum, please subscribe on those platforms. That would be a huge help to us. And please, please, please consider merch purchase, Patreon subscription. We use every cent that we have that goes back into the business to help us do presentations, create content, technology, client materials, all of those things. We do not take a salary from this. So we do want to be a mission-based business going forward, and help us out. We appreciate it.
If you're listening to this on a podcast player of your choice, please rate and subscribe, because that's
right. That
helpful
helps us
as
too.
well, right? Because that can help us monetize by getting enough ratings and enough subscribers that automatically enrolls us in some monetization plan. I don't even know. But like Julie said, we're doing this to help other people, and the more reach we have, the more money we have, the more we can do. We want to do it all. We want to do all the things. And
Speaking
please
of all
help
the
us.
things,
Yes.
we have a newsletter now too that comes
Oh,
out on the
that's
first of the month, and the newsletter has all the links for the content we did the month before, so you don't have to go hunting and go crazy looking for it. It comes out on the 1st through email. If you want it, email us hello@dttproductions.com. I'll put you on the list. Or go on our website, scroll down the bottom of the homepage, and you can directly subscribe. And that's free.
Yes,
So it's a free thing.
Excellent.
All right.
All right. Books. What do you got? Oh, nice.
I read this for the first time in high school, and I reread it last summer.
Oh, nice.
The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. It's fantastic. And this actually ties in with what we talked about today because it's about veterans of the Vietnam War era, but I think it's relevant for all veterans. That's a very high-risk group for many, many different things, for a multitude of reasons, with hearing loss being towards the top.
Yep.
It really changes your mind and gives you a real deep insight into what it was like to be active duty in Vietnam.
I can't imagine.
It's incredible. And one of my nieces read this some years ago, and she's a reluctant reader, and it's the best book she ever read. It's storytelling based on true events, so there's a autobiographical element to it as well. It's pivotal. I was born during the Vietnam era. I don't remember it, and it's always been an area of history that I'm interested in. At the time when I was in high school in the 90s, there was no history class that covered Vietnam, I think because it was still too close. But by the time my youngest brother came through the same high school, there was a whole history class devoted to the Vietnam era, and he's 7 years younger.
Right, it's my age.
So it's interesting, right?
So I didn't.
It's fantastic.
I took a class in college on the Vietnam War, so it was just the Vietnam War, and it's so convoluted and it's such a messy situation. That wasn't one of the books we've read though. It's definitely on my list.
It's excellent.
I'll check it out.
Feel free to borrow it. It's good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So my book is called Hyperbole and a Half by Allie Brosh. So she is another very open mental health.
Oh God!
advocate.
Okay, see, I'm making the face because I'm a horrible person. I thought this was one of your hypo intellectual.
Oh no,
quizzes,
it's a
and
comic.
I heard hyperbole, and I'm like, Mother of God, again with the etymology.
No.
Again with this. Nobody wants to read books about words, Brad. I retract everything I just did. Tell me more.
It's a graphic novel, and the drawings are completely rudimentary. It's really simplistic, but it's so raw about her mental health struggles, and it's so honest. She's very much like Jenny Lawson, which was who I recommended last week.
Yeah.
But she's so funny, and it's quick. They're quick reads, but they're hard reads. And so the kind of rudimentary, almost elementary school-esque drawing, which is even better than I can do, kind of softens the blow. But some of the topics that she talks about, like anxiety and social
generalized anxiety.
Yeah, generalized anxiety to social anxiety disorder, all that kind of stuff. She's very honest about it, and she makes it funny, but she doesn't pull punches. And not every comic strip has a happy ending, and because that's life. But she's a great writer. She's a fantastic artist for what she is. I mean, she's not photorealistic or anything like that, but she's not supposed to be. So Hyperbole and a Half is not an etymology book.
Now that we know what it's
Yes.
about, I really sorry, bud, but your reputation precedes you on that one.
It does.
So, sorry for the face.
All right, everybody. I will let you go find those books on your own, so you can see that there's no reason to be disgusted about highbrow. Bye, guys.
Bye.